You can draw this in Procreate. You can create a mandala in Procreate by just following these easy steps. We will start by drawing circles as a guide, then we will create the big shapes for our mandala, then we'll start adding smaller shapes, and finally we will add color to our mandala. What I'm using during this tutorial is a canvas of 2500 pixels by 2500 pixels, and the color profile is set to sRGB. If you don't know how to change your canvas size, then be sure to check the helpful links in the description to other short videos in which I explain loads of stuff about Procreate. But now let's get started. First, like I said, we are going to draw some circles, and I would like to use the 6B pencil, which you can find under sketching. And you can just grab pure black or you can grab a gray, it doesn't really matter. We are just going to create some guidelines. I have the opacity of the pencil set to 100% and the size is at 38%. And now let's just draw a circle. And when you do, hold your pen in place to make it snap to a quick shape and then tap one finger on the screen to make it snap to a perfectly round circle. Then go to the move tool here at the top, the little arrow, and then make sure to turn snapping on here. And now when you move it around, you'll see these orange lines pop up. And make sure that you have it centered on your canvas. Now we are going to create a new layer, so go to the two little squares here at the top, then tap the plus for a new layer and make another circle around your first circle. Hold your pen in place to make it snap to a quick shape, then tap your finger on the screen to make it snap to a perfectly round circle and then go to the move tool again. Now make sure that it's centered. And then create another new layer again by going to the layer menu and tapping the plus. And let's draw another circle, hold your pen in place, tap one finger on the screen, and then go to the move tool. Just to make sure that it's centered. Then again, we'll make a new layer, we'll draw a circle, and you don't have to keep the same spacing between the circles. You can vary that a little bit. Go to the move tool again. For instance, you can make it a little bit smaller by moving this little handle. Just make sure that you have it set to uniform, otherwise your circle will turn into an oval. Then make sure that it's centered again. Make it a little bit smaller. Then again, make a new layer by tapping the plus. And let's make another bigger circle. Hold your pen in place, tap one finger on the screen, go to the move tool to make sure that your circle is centered. And then go back to the layer menu, and now you can merge all of these layers. You can just pinch them together. And we are going to lower the opacity of this layer a bit. Let's set it to 50%, for example. And then tap the plus for a new layer on top. For the next stage, we are going to use a different brush. Let's go to the inking brushes and use the technical pen. I want to use pure black, so you can double tap here at the bottom of the circle to get pure black. Now the opacity of this brush is also at 100%, and let's set the size to 8%. And now we are going to use the symmetry tool. So creating mandalas is really easy. Let's go to the wrench, then to canvas, and then turn on the drawing guide. Now go to edit drawing guide, and then here at the bottom, turn on symmetry. Then go to options and pick radial. And now you can tap done to get started drawing your mandala. We are going to start with some bigger shapes. Let's first zoom in a little bit. Let's start with a little circle here in the center. And then a little petal shape to the outside. And try using those circles as a little guide. Now let's make a little rounded shape here. And then we'll slowly move out. We'll start here at the center of this little bump. And create a petal shape moving outward. And we'll add an extra line to the inside. Then we'll do the same here. You can just rotate your canvas. Make another petal shape extra line here. And now I want to add a circle right where we have our circular guideline. But let's do that on a new layer. Let's go to the layer menu, tap the plus for a new layer, and then draw a circle. Hold your pen in place, tap one finger on the screen, then go to the move tool, tapping the arrow, and make sure that this circle is also nicely centered. Then create another new layer, go to the layer menu, tap the plus, and make a circle right outside. Hold your pen in place, tap one finger on the screen, and then go to the move tool to make sure that it's nicely centered. Then go to the layer menu, merge these two little circles, and now we want to erase the parts of the circle where the petals are covering them. So let's first turn on symmetry here as well, so we don't have to erase each part individually. So tap the layer and then use drawing assist. Now you can see that this layer is assisted as well. So now that mandala power is also active on this layer. Now tap and hold the eraser to make it snap to the brush that you were already using for drawing. That's the technical pen. And then just go over the area to get rid of that circle right where the petal shape is covering it. Now let's go back to layer 2. Grab your brush again, the technical pen, and let's continue. I want to make a rounded shape going from this petal to that one, right along the edge of our circle. Now you can tap edit shape and you can play around with that arch so that it's nicely positioned, something like this. Then grab the brush again, and now let's make something of a petal shape here. But of course you can do anything you like. Then rotate it, make another shape over here. Now let's make a petal shape from halfway these little thingies to about halfway this circle. So something like this. And we can make another line on the inside. Now I want to make a circle again, so we'll do the same step as we did before. Let's first make a new layer by tapping the plus. Then draw a circle. Hold your pen in place, tap one finger on the screen. Then use the move tool, the little arrow, and make sure that it's centered. Then create another circle on a new layer, so tap the plus for a new layer and make another circle right around here. Mine is nice and wobbly, but it doesn't matter because we are using the quick shape. Tap one finger on the screen, then go to the move tool. It's the little arrow, and make sure that it's centered. Now merge these two, then turn on drawing assist here, and then grab the eraser to erase parts of that circle. Now let's continue on layer 2. Grab the brush, and I want to make a circular, well, semicircle shape going through that petal shape. And you can use edit shape again. You can play around. It doesn't have to be perfect right away. And just play around with it. And then I want to make another semicircle over here. Again, you can play around with the quick shape. Then rotate. Make another one over here. And then finally, I want to make some bigger petals going to the outside. They are starting about here, going through that outer circle. And over here as well. And now we have the big shapes for our mandala, and we can start adding more detail to it, refining it. And you'll notice that every time you'll make a mandala, it'll look a little bit different. It doesn't have to look like mine. It's just about having fun with the shapes. So now for the detailing phase, we can actually merge these layers. Just don't merge it with the little guide layer. Just merge these top three and you can turn off the guide layer. And now on this layer, we are going to continue to add detail to our mandala. We'll start with the center. And let's start with these petals, for instance. Let's make shapes like this, as if these are leaves. One to the top. But really, you can use your creativity and create your own type of shapes. Let's add an extra line here. Perhaps some lines like this, but you can really go wild here. Then a rounded shape like this, and some petal-like shapes. Let's do the same for this one. So again, rounded shape, petal-like shapes. And of course, you can also look up inspiration, mandala inspiration on Pinterest, for example. Add some dots here. Here as well. Little dot. Small dots. And a long line with a little curl. Here as well. We're just filling everything up. Let's make like these, they look like rounded teeth. Go from one side to the other. Final one over here. There really is no right or wrong when it comes to creating these. In my opinion, in any case, you can just do whatever you like. Making these rounded shapes. Semicircles along the edge here. And let's add a little circle here. You can hold your pen in place to make it snap to a quick shape. Another circle around. You can use edit shape if you need to move it around. Then go to the brush again. Add some lines, and perhaps this is like a flower shape. Just try to add interesting elements, interesting patterns inside your mandala without trying to make it perfect. These elements, even if you have a little wobbly line, it'll be so small in your final mandala that you really won't notice it. Now let's make a shape over here, perhaps with a smaller shape inside. Another one here. Little curly. Little droplet shape over here. Bigger one around. You can add these lines for extra interest. Perhaps some more dots. Now we'll move on to this area. Some more droplet shapes. Perhaps here as well. Add some lines here. We'll need to do the same over here. Well, you don't need to do the same. You can also change the pattern over there. Perhaps a little wiggly. I like these butterfly things. Butterfly antenna over there. Or maybe some more of these rounded shapes. A little dashes. Now for this one, I'd like to make the line a little bit thicker. Refine it a little bit. Now, these bigger shapes on the outside, they are a bit more challenging than the little lines on the inside. But it's a great exercise to practice your hand steadiness. I like to fill these with little like oval shapes. But I'm sure that every mandala that you'll post after following this tutorial, I'm sure that each and every one will look different. They will all be unique. But this tutorial is giving you a guide on how to create them, what steps you can follow. Just if this is your first tutorial here, then don't forget to check all the others out as well. I have loads of tutorials about Procreate. And in every tutorial, I will guide you through all the steps. So you don't need any experience to create great stuff. This is like a peacock feather shape, or peacock tail, or peacock tail, or a peacock tail. That doesn't sound good. So just some lines with these little circles at the end. It doesn't have to be anything. It's just shapes from your imagination. Perhaps some of these rounded shapes here to fill this area up. Here we have another area to fill. Perhaps some petal shapes again, or with these rounded shapes. A curly whirly. And some dashes. And for this area we can use these dashes. I might want to color them in later, so I do want to make sure that these areas are closed. Now let's do the same over here. Then we have more circles. Let's make a double line here. You can see that my hand is definitely not super steady. I make wobbly lines as well. But it's fine. Just add some rounded shapes here. And on this side as well. And perhaps some more curly shapes here. It's already starting to look really cool, I think. Now for this area. Let's try a shape like this. And perhaps some wiggly shapes or whirly. We'll add a dashed line here. And then more of these semicircles. And perhaps some dashed lines inside the shape. And more of these semicircles. Now let's make a shape over here, a little bit rounded. Some dots here. But I think creating mandalas is just meant to be really relaxing, almost like meditation. So I hope you'll find it relaxing too to create your own unique mandalas. Little whirly, some dots just to fill it in. We're almost there. We have another big shape here. Let's again try this. Dashes. And some whirlies. Then again, rounded shapes. Dashes. I try to mix up a little bit of straight lines and curved lines to get a nice balance in the mandala. Now another rounded shape over here. Two little antenna. It's just nice to not give it too much thought. It's a bit like going with the flow. And I guess that's what you're doing here. So you really don't have to follow every step I take here. You can draw inspiration from it. Try using similar patterns. But you can really turn it into your own unique thing. I want to make little circles inside this edge. So I'll just go along the entire edge, fill it with circles until we are at the top. Now let's do the same for this one. At least that's what I'm going to do. You can decide what you want to do. But if you can't find other inspiration, then feel free to also make this pattern, of course. Alright, now we have added more intricate lines to our mandala. Now I just want to add a little extra to the outside. Let's, for instance, make a circular shape here. Hold your pen in place. Something like this. And then a droplet shape inside. Like this. A circle here. And two little antennae. It's a bit like... It's reminding me a bit of a ladybug. Over here, some more shapes. Just to get some variation on the outside of our mandala. Droplet shape, perhaps a little circle. It'll break it up a little bit. Maybe some lines. That one was a little bit too long. Let's take a look. I think that's looking nice. Now for the next step, we are going to add some dark areas to our mandala to get a nice balance of light areas and darker areas. So again, let's zoom in and let's pick areas that we want to fill with our black color. For instance, I want to fill this edge here. You can tap continue coloring with recolor and drag this crosshair around to be able to tap different areas and fill them all in with color. Like, for example, the middle circle, we can color that. And let's color these parts of the petals. Now, this area seems to be a little bit too small. Then you can just grab the brush again and color some of the areas in by hand. If you see little parts that remain white. Now let's move to the outside. I want to fill this little ring. Again, use continue filling with recolor. Drag the crosshair around and go to areas that you want to fill as well. Now just don't fill too many areas. You want to keep a nice balance. Zoom out as you go. We can fill these areas, make like a black-white pattern there. I didn't close it, so we'll have to skip that one, grab the brush. Let's just fill this in by hand. Then on to the next one. I can see that this one has a gap as well. Continue coloring with recolor. Again, I didn't fill it, didn't close it. I guess I'll just color these in by hand. And the middle one. Then we'll move on to this area. Let's fill this. Use continue coloring with recolor. Can fill these little things when they are closed. Or just grab the brush to do it by hand. I also need to fill this little line. Where's the crosshair? There it is. Again, fill these little areas. And this little shape. And of course you can, like I said, you can refine little areas where you need to. I want to fill this as well. And this shape, and I want to color outside of these little circles, and let's just do it by hand because these areas are very small and I think it's faster to just color them in than to drag and drop the color here. But it all depends on the pattern that you have chosen, of course, but like I said, try to get a nice balance of dark and light areas. It'll add interest to your mandala. Let's color this in. Then we have this edge, and then we're almost there. And then we can add some nice color to our mandala. Go all the way to the other side, and while you are relaxing following this mandala tutorial, Now when I look at it, I feel like this area is still a little bit light. I want to add darkness, or yeah, I want to darken these little rounded things. And I want to add lines to this little area. I see that I forgot. Now, of course, if you are enjoying this tutorial, and if you want more Procreate tutorials, then be sure to check out my Patreon page. There you can find way more Procreate tutorials and also loads of brushes. Oh, we have more over here. Yeah, we got it. Almost got it all. This one. I think that looks like a better balance. Alright, so now that we have a nice balance, we have a really cool pattern, we can start adding color to our mandala. Let's first turn off that guide, that mandala power guide, go to the wrench, then to actions. Well, no, that's already actions, the wrench is actions, then to canvas, and then turn off the drawing guide. It is still active on this layer. If you go to the layer menu, you can see that it's still assisted, but you won't be seeing those lines anymore. Now to add the color to our mandala, we are going to add a new layer on top by tapping the plus. And then let's go and grab the soft brush under airbrushing. Make sure that you have the opacity set to 100%. I have the size set to 31%, but it's not really important, the size. You can play around, and you can also play around with the color. You can go and grab a color that you like. For example, you can grab a nice bright bluish color. Now let's start at the bottom, add the color over there, then move around on the color circle. Let's go to purple. Let's add that. Move to pink. Add that over here. Make a nice band like a rainbow. More pink. We'll move up even more to the reds. And then up to orangey colors. Now let's drop that at the top. Now go to the magic wand, the adjustments menu, go to Gaussian blur and drag your pen or your finger to the right to create a nice smooth gradient. And then when you go to the layer menu, tap that layer with the gradient and turn on clipping mask. It'll be clipped to your mandala. And if you want to make it pop even more, you can go to the layer menu, then switch the background color, set it to black. I think that makes it look even better. Now, I hope you had fun creating this mandala. I hope you'll have fun creating loads more. Be sure to share them online. If you share them on Instagram, then be sure to tag me in the image, not just in the description. That way I will be able to find your work, and perhaps we'll see it in the next video, like these awesome results from other You Can Draw This video tutorials, or these amazing results from my friends at Patreon. I would like to thank you for watching, and I will see you next time for the next tutorial.